Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Lambom Show. Today is Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. And like on every Wednesday, we are focusing today on African development. And we are giving a little slant to our conversation this week. Our topic for today is should African presidents travel abroad for summits on Africa? Should African presidents travel abroad for summits on Africa? And today's topic, today's question is actually drawn from a comment that was made by President Paul Kagame of Rwanda when I think the African Development Bank was meeting in Rwanda in 2014. There was a panel discussion. We had former President of Nigeria, Obasanjo, and other presidents on. And when President Kagame was given the opportunity to make a comment, he, amongst the many things he said, one was he found it ludicrous that African presidents travel miles to Europe to go discuss things related to the continent when they cannot sit back on the continent and even visit one another and talk about these issues. Sir Okpa wrote a comment, wrote a little piece on it and shared with me this morning, and that's how I came up with that topic. And as always, welcome, Sir Okpa.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So, again, provocative. I'm wondering why you are opposed to African leaders, and your precise, the comment you, if I may read that, your analysis said something like African presidents should quit being pupil presidents, honoring invitations from Western leaders. I applaud Rwanda Paul Kagame for his stand. African presidents, sit your behind at home and engage your country folks. I mean, let me understand what the reasoning behind that is, because I think that's kind of counterintuitive.
Well, I mean, yeah, look, you know, before I left, the continent or Nigeria to come here, it used to be when a foreign dignitary was coming, the school is shut down, the people line up on the street to wave flag and welcome these people. And I thought, okay, what is this all about? Um, and then I come to US and I see even when the Africans come here, nobody knows. Nobody waves flags for them. Nobody lines up the street for them. And you are a president. No matter the big and the small, you're still a president. And people in your country look up to you. So, but what I'm saying is that more than how many years of this, group, and I call them pupil. Remember when in elementary school, your headmaster was okay, everybody show up here, everybody showed up. And then in secondary school, the principal's office. Nobody has ever said, you know what, thank you. I'll listen in. You take your country resources, you fly to everywhere. In recent history, George Bush didn't do it. Obama did it. Moscow, even what is his name? Putin has invited them, they showed up. China has invited them, they show up. And then I was like, just imagine 50 something or 40 something of you in the continent. We vacate your presidential duties to go sit in for a few hours with one individual in another country to lecture you, to tell you what the solution or what we're going to do for you. Okay, this is not the first time. What has come of good out of this? Can any country say, oh, because our president went to UN General Assembly and had his 15 minutes of fame that they went home and things got better? So what is this constant looking for a place? Like the president of Ghana went to see the mayor of Houston. How can you go from president of a country to go see the mayor of a city? Just because to say that you went abroad. Would you ever see an American president to go visit a mayor in their office? I mean, there are certain things that the African leaders do that keep devaluing their role and giving them the prestige they need. So I'm just saying, all of you don't have to go. All of you don't have to vacate the continent to go in there. Some of you are dozing off when you're even meeting there. I said when you are lined up again, like you take a picture with the principal. Okay, and all of you are joking. Who's going to stand next to? I'm saying it is not necessary. Invite the person that is inviting you. Tell them to come see you, and then you can invite regional presidents around you. You can have a dialogue. It reminds me of what black pastors do. Anytime they are told to come to Washington, DC, all of them rushing over there, well dressed and stuff. But how many times do you see, the American president going to black communities and sitting down with the pastors and say, hey, what can we do here? So there's this symbolic way to deal with, black people and Africans, because the Africans in America, haven't gotten to where they say, we can deal with this locally. If you want to see, when I ran for mayor of Dallas, one of the things I said to the candidate, let's not just campaign in black churches. Let's campaign in black neighborhoods. Okay? Because what happens is when these politicians are running for office, they don't go to black neighborhoods. They go to black churches. To where the pastor will get up and say, hey, this is blah, 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 yada, yada, and they take off. But they don't go to sit down in black neighborhood restaurants and drive in neighborhood to see how physically depressing it is, so they can say, hey, maybe when I get over there, I can do something here. Instead, they go to when we are looking good. Remember, Sundays, black people look good. Just like Africans going to go see their master in Washington, D.C. or Paris, they look good. But they're not coming into the continent to come see, hey, you have no water. Your roads are not paved. Your lives are not steady. There's abject poverty. They don't do that. So why are you running all over the world looking for solution when you can't even talk to your neighbor? I mean, you and I have had this conversation. If Nigeria and Cameroon, or Nigeria and Niger, or Nigeria and Benin Republic is having issue, where are they going? They're flying to London or Paris to go listen. Hey, boy. Hey, bro. What's going on here? Can we talk? So that's my take. I mean, there's some of you to attend, but you don't want to. All of you shouldn't be leaving the continent to go attend some of this stuff.
So, my first pushback on that is, instead of the president of, if the president of the United States were to visit, generally when they visit Africa, they visit a couple of countries. And
invite neighboring countries. If you go into Nigeria, invite all the West African people. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that. You are a president. If you have a specific need for US, go to US president. If that's who you need, that will help you do it. Do that. But don't just wait for this invitation and all of you just leave the continent to come for a few hours. And then I don't even know whether there's a dinner, because, the White House cannot host that many people, for a State Department, state dinner. So it's just one of those, okay, here, they give a talk. This is what we're going to do for you. But I'm just saying, after the meeting, how many things have been done? You hear the G7 and the G20, when they go over there, we're going to do X, Y, Z for Africa. What has happened? What has happened out of those G7? Isn't the currencies being devalued? Our electricity on, our water supply going on? I mean, come on. I want somebody to convince me this is the collateral benefit of having those meetings and not traveling all over the world to just go meet, for a few hours. It's a few hours. It's not even like, you stay there for 1 week.
Yeah, but again, the fact that they don't translate is not for trying. At least try to do something. I know that the last meeting that took place, at least let's start from Europe. There's the EU summit that took place in Belgium last year, and a lot of talks were around climate change. And I know the promises about 100
promises.
Right, but again, that's different in terms of the fact that
you can do that by phone. You and I are Zoom now. You can have all the 49 African, 50 whatever African presidents on a Zoom, and you could talk to them about what is going on. And they're sitting in their presidential suite, and maybe you can even see how their presidential places are furnished and all that stuff. I'm just saying, you don't have to physically leave the continent to have those kind of conversations. And how many times have you seen a group of South American presidents flying to Washington, D.C.? I mean, they are Western Hemisphere. How many times do you see Asian? I mean, sometimes the American president will fly to the Southeast Asian, Pacific, whatever, to talk with them. Why do the African presidents have to be the one to vacate the continent? Given the amount of money, you're already poor and you're spending your meager resources to make trips that at the end it doesn't get you anything. Why don't one person come in and do the talking to you? Hey, you want to go to meet them at AU meeting, fly to Addis Ababa and speak with them over there. Or say, hey, I do a regional thing. I'm going to be meeting the president of Cameroon. If you guys want to join, let the president of Cameroon invite the neighboring people to come. I'm just saying all these meetings and conferences, what is the promise? Climate change, okay, fine. What is new that we're talking about in climate change that we didn't know for the 50, 40 something years we have lived here? More rain, more sun, more this. Has the sun risen from the west? Until the sun rises from the west, I don't believe there's any significant. We have climate conditions and not a climate change. There's different.
I mean, well, I don't want to get into that debate.
No. You have.
That's another thing.
Because climate, the sun rises from the east constantly and set in the west. Okay, if he's going to change it, and the sun is one of the biggest influences on the planet. So if he changes position to rise from the west, okay. But since that is constant, we have climate conditions. No 2 days in the history of the world has had the exact climate issues. No 2 days.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you don't have.
This is a condition, but it's not a change.
Well, it is. It's definitely there is a change because you look at what they are saying here is there's an average, but now that average has been upset by something. So that's why it's
what average? What is the average? Average what?
Well, so look at but let's not go to climate change.
Okay.
That's
fine.
We can get into something else because climate conditioning
that's fine.
and all that. But my point here is I was using that as an example to say at least meeting you and I on StreamYard now doing this virtual, but I think you prefer us meeting in person. I would prefer us meeting.
No, but I'm just saying.
Is there no value to that?
Remember, is when they leave, the continent is without its leaders. Do you know, for instance, the president of America and the vice president are not going to be at the same place at the same time. Somebody has to hold the fort. Why is 40 something of you got to leave the continent for a few hours of meeting? It takes you maybe 2 days of flying. And then what is the cost? What is the cost of all 49 of them taking off? Okay, so you got, wait a minute. You guys were just in UN, September. And in December, you all are going to be trooping again to the Washington, D.C. to do what? Okay, fine. It makes sense. But why didn't you, while they were in UN, hey, pull them to one side in one day? I have to say, hey, would you guys mind staying for 1 day before or after so we can have this stuff and talk? I'm just saying there's so much fanfare between the Africans and the Western world. At the end of the day, I'm trying to see the substance. I have been in America for 35 years, and I watch these things closely to say what is the country that is benefiting from all this. Let's go to China, let's go to Moscow, let's go to England, let's go to America. What's the benefit? What is it that we cannot do as a people? That we got to go get a lecture from somebody. Collaboration doesn't have to be one way. It has to be both ways, just like partnership and joint venture. And it doesn't have to be 54 African countries. Can we just be successful with 5 local examples in the continent? And then you influence the countries next to you. Why do we have to? I mean, there's this constant thing that Macron of France is controlling the African Francophone countries and preventing them from doing something. And that's like, okay, he is in Paris, but your next door neighbor of Ivory Coast and Ghana, and you're not concerned about that proximity. It is the man who is at 6 hours from you, assuming you're flying steadily. Come on, love is proximity.
No, I mean, we talked about this, I think, last week, but I want to say that we forget one thing about systems. The systems have been there for a while. How to unravel the system is a problem because you and I the president of Ghana could be talking to the president of Cote d'Ivoire, but the person who is pulling the strings is in Paris, isn't it?
Well, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Just like you get married, but your in-laws are still telling your wife how many times she's going to sleep with you, and then you think it's their marriage, get rid of her.
I don't think it's easy. I mean,
it is easy. We
How do you
talked
get
about
rid? How do
bluff.
you get
We
rid
talked
of
about
Paris?
bluff the last time. It's easy. Why if okay?
No, go ahead.
No.
Last
I'm
week we
just
talked
saying we
about
talked
calling the
about
bluff.
bluffing last time.
Yeah.
We are constantly giving excuses why certain things are not going to be done. And you know, at some point, when do we wake up and say, no, Macron? How old is Macron? I'm not even saying age is a factor. How old is he that he's going to come into the continent and begin to pitch you against each other, and then you guys agree because he's pulling what strings? He says, sir, we're not going to do it. Has anybody said, sir, we are not going to do it, Your Excellency? And you watch his body language if you say that. But you know why you guys are not going to say it? Because when you get sick, you go to Paris for treatment. You buy a house over there. You compromise yourself. That's why you cannot be strong enough to tell him we're not doing it. If African leaders have not compromised themselves, they have the balls to stand up on their feet because he's not doing this for you. You are doing it for your country. In fact, why don't they do a survey? Why don't they go back and put a survey in their country and say, hey, should I go to Washington or New York to see? Let's see what the outcome is. All of a sudden, once they get an invitation, just like even when the Queen was being buried, some of them were crying and begging and to go. And then when they get over there, they were all lumped in a bus. Nobody even knew who is who. Okay, I'm just ask your people. I'm being invited. Should I go? Oh, they say no, don't go, Mr. President. Okay, fine. You tell whoever is inviting you. My people say I shouldn't go.
I mean, again, like I said last week, I think it's easy to claim that, but
everything in life is easy.
Calling that bluff is easy. But look at what is happening in Mali. Look at what is happening in Burkina Faso. These are soldiers who are calling the bluff of the French. But what are the repercussions for them?
No, there's no repercussion. You know what? Sacrifice, you know what they call opportunity cost. What are you willing to give up for what you want to get? That's oftentimes what the black people are not willing to do. They're always, okay, I don't want to do that. Let me just stay with the complacent nature. I'm comfortable with this. They are not able to agitate and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to give up this. What are you getting from France or England or America that if they pull it today, you're not going to be able to function as a people? Okay, let them tell you. And they say, you know what? That's what Singapore did. That's what Singapore did when he broke away from the Commonwealth for a period and said, we're going to go find our own ways and we're going to do it our own way. Why can't you do it? Your currency is your right. You find who you trade with it so that they will give you a reasonable value, not who you trade with it and they devalue you and then you don't get anything. And you're still latching on to that relationship.
Well, again, I get it, but let me ask you a direct question with this. Do you believe in globalization?
I believe in it to the extent that it does not undermine my own national interest.
So how do you want the African leaders to be able to bring forth their national interest if they are not going to seek
national
out?
interest is what am I getting out of it? Are you going to marry every husband or every man available? You're going to pick one. And you're going to make that relationship work. That's what is called a family. A country can be a family. So who is in the family? It is you, the president, who, okay, you have been chosen to lead us and serve us. You are that image for the country. But it's not where you are going to compromise the entire country because you are afraid to say, go back to your people. You know the problem with most African countries and presidents, they don't speak with their people. They speak at their people. When you talk to them, engage them. Instead of flying all over the world, every year, make visit to the physical aspect. How many times has the president of Cameroon or Kenya gone to every part of the country speaking with the people, having a town hall and sitting down? Instead, the people see him on television. Oh, he's been to UN, he's been to this, he's been. Make travel, meet your people and sit there and say, look, here are the challenges of the office, but these challenges are opportunities for us. And this is what I think we should do to be able to do X, Y, Z. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? I'm here to serve you. And then you know what? You could gather a lot of intelligence from what the common people are going to tell you, not what the so-called experts are telling you. Have a conversation with the people.
I think that, isn't that supposed to be the role of the members of parliament? Sit down and
that's an executive arm.
Executive.
The executive arm is different. Hey, these people are elected. But if the president chooses to go meet with the people, I don't think the legislature will say, don't do it. I'm just saying the African leaders have not called going to have conversation with their people. They will rather fly outside of the country than go to the one regional part of the country and say, hey, let's talk. What was the issue here? Is it skill set? Is it money? Is it peace? Is it whatever? Sometimes it's even good to let the people say, you know what? I'm here to listen. Get up and here's the microphone. Get up there and yell at me. Tell me what I'm doing right or wrong. I'm here to listen. You know what? They don't do it. They don't do it because they're about they're about their prestige and your excellencies and your majesties. You do all those your majesties and your excellencies, then you go abroad, and when you get to the country, you get to nobody even knows who you are. Come on. How many times you live in the Washington, D.C. area? How many times has a motorcade of an African president coming from Reagan National going to the White House? Have you seen American kids lined up on the street and waving flag?
Never.
You know, answer the question.
Never. I've never seen
that.
But
guess what? If American president is to go to Cameroon now, that's when they wake up and say every street has to be clean. And you do this for an individual. What are you going to do if Jesus ever shows up in person?
Yeah, but so the problem I have again with this is, I think I agree with you to the extent that at least they should meet the people, but I don't think it is also they should meet with the people, but they should also be able to come out and as a bloc talk about what concerns Africa with respect.
No, don't even talk about this 54 marriage we have. It's a loose and a lousy one. Talk about your country. Let's have a successful, strong African country that will be an influence to the rest. They said when one finger touches oil, by proximity, the rest of the fingers are going to be touched by design or default. Okay, so we have a successful African country that can be an influence to the region, to the country. Look, the guy in North Africa, whomever they are, I ain't got no interest with them, and I'm concerned about my neighbor. Love is proximity. The nearer, the better. So why are you cultivating love with somebody who is so far away from you, who somehow feel that you're an inferior being, who feels that you're a president, but I'm not going to reciprocate it to the level that you reciprocate to me? What is good for the goose is good for the gander. We have to honor that. I tell you, if you don't respect me, I will not respect you. I don't care who you are, because respect has to attract another respect. And the need, it has to be met, not so where, okay, I'm going to help you, but guess it, I'm going to help you in such a way that you're going to even hate yourself when you get that help. No, every human being is capable of emerging and being strong, but you have to mentally agree, I'm going to make the sacrifice, I'm going to look at the opportunity cost. Even what you and I are here, we gave up something in order to come to where we are. It was a sacrifice. So what sacrifice are the African presidents willing to make on behalf of their country, not on behalf of them, on behalf of their country? What was the sacrifice? The sacrifice that I'm not going. And I'm going to sit here with my people and I'm going to have conversation with them. I'm going to go meet them at their own places and say, hey, what can I do? They don't do it. Go around every country and ask them how many times, they sit in their palaces in isolation, in insular condition, and they don't even go. But the little thing that their national TV shows them, oh, Mr. President is going outside, he's going here, and everybody's quiet. And all the ministers will line up to wave and say, oh, yeah, what are you bringing home? Stop going to China. Stop going to Germany. Stop going to Washington, D.C. Have a conversation direct. Don't do this entire Africa thing. Do specific country. This is what my country people need. The need of Cameroon may not be the same thing as Central African Republic or Nigeria or this. Be specific. Be specific. You go to the market and there are all these beautiful women and you say hello. You're not saying hello to everybody. You say hello to the one that you're interested in. Even though everybody's going to turn around and look at you. But there's one particular one you want. Even though you may be a sprinkler system, but you gotta get one first.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the idea of a sprinkler system, because a sprinkler system works better. Again, the issue here is, I think you are trying to move away from a both and you are doing an either or. And I'm saying there's a possibility of doing AGOA okay, the African Growth Opportunities Act, at the same time doing a bilateral trade agreement with the
You
Kenya.
said bilateral. Every relationship has to start with bilateral before multilateral. Okay, but I'm just saying, what exactly are you getting out of it? When Obama did that African thing, he started the Power African Initiative. Okay, that is 8 years ago. Can we go back and see what particular African country has benefited from Power African Initiative? We want a concrete example, not a constant paper being pushed around, not a constant, summit being held after the fact. Which African country has had its power sector benefited based on the power initiative that Obama initiated? Which one? Okay, you do the climate change. Flood is all over Africa. Nigeria, you see that, you watch YouTube, you see a good part of the country flooded. What are you looking for? So you don't have civil engineers in Nigeria or civil engineers in Africa that can look at the causes of this and come up with a design. Why do you have to go over there looking for them to come and tell you what? I can understand when, back in the 50s and 40s, when most Africans haven't been to school and they don't understand these modernity, structures, and statehood. But geez, we can now have 70 years or 60 years or 50-something years of experience going to every university, there is in the world, and oftentimes, coming out academically well. But then we still do what? We still run after C student. When we graduate with as a student, we still study the economics of money, and we still haven't figured out how to stabilize the currencies so that the purchasing power will be such that it can enable you to really do more. So I'm trying to figure out, going to China, going to all these places, what has it done? What's the benefit?
I think there are benefits. It's just that they are not. And don't you? I mean, let's take Power Africa that you reference, isn't it? Isn't it going to take some time before that would translate into something concrete?
No, but before that, there was power in Africa. So I'm just saying, what's the Power Africa initiative for? Is it to stabilize the power that is already there, or is it to add more? If it's to add more, let us see how many megawatts have been added since the Power Africa initiative was introduced. So we got to measure this stuff. We got to measure it.
And that's true. Measurement is important, but I also think that the meeting itself may set up a framework, but that framework is not respected by the African leaders. The
people hosting the meeting should say, you know what, we've tried to do everything we can, and we're not going to have this meeting anymore. If you want to talk to me, come to me individually. I just don't subscribe to this group thing. I gave you the example. You bring black pastors to any government, politicians, all of them, dressed up and go over there and they pray and they blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, they're still going to go back to neighborhoods that are depressing. The African people are doing the same thing. They invite them, they look good, they come here, they take a picture, they're still going to go to a country that oftentimes is failing or is very dysfunctional. At one point, do you stop playing to the gallery? At one point, and begin to focus on relationship. You don't have to know everybody in the world. You don't have to. Even when you look at the picture of Moscow and what is their name, South Korea, some of these regimes that people don't like, if you look at it, you see that their roads are well built. Their buildings are well built, even though they are considered, a nuisance to the world. But when you look at these African people that are flexible, that they can go everywhere, you look at the conditions in the country. I'm just saying, what are you getting out of this running around? You were in New York. By the time you come back to DC, you were barely 2 months for the same what?
No. Yeah, so like I said again, for me it's not an either or. It's both, and you can do both. But again, you don't want to take away the fact that there are relationships that are built with these things. And the difference here is,
let me tell you, when you become president of Cameroon, if you don't leave the country, people are still gonna know you. Okay, so it's not like you're trying to okay, let me go and promote the country. You don't promote the country that way. The way you're going to promote the country, that you actually engage your people and you begin to look at structures, policies, initiatives, things that can help elevate or enhance the standard of living. The constant, parties and showmanship and appearances, I'm just saying, What are the collateral values of those? We have a good 40 years of doing that since independence. As soon as most African countries become independent, they're all over the world. How long did it take the first American president to leave this country after independence? How many years? Can you answer that question?
I don't know how many years, but I'm sure it's a long
106 years. From 1776. Okay? Before the first American president left, you know where he went?
Most likely South Africa or Ghana.
Excuse me, Panama.
Well, I thought you were asking about Africa.
No. I'm just telling you, even America has to, consolidate and, get to understand who they are before they started doing all this world thing they are doing. Remember, the First World War, they were very reluctant to get into it. Okay, because they were still building. Okay, hey, we're a new country. We gotta know who we are before we even put our best foot forward. But the Africans don't even know who they are. They're putting all feet forward, and that's why they are chopped. Okay, I'm just saying. Look, home is the best. Work to make your home, and when you do that, people are going to come to you. Okay, people will visit your home if you make it right. But if you keep chasing other people's home, and you don't do your own right, they will always invite you.
So, I mean, let me take this one step further. The U.S. government is inviting the president of Africa in December. So you are American citizen. What advice would you give to the African presidents? Because, by the way, they are not coming here to have a summit on Africa. It is about U.S. relationship with Africa. It is at the invitation. And I think that you also have to factor that there are different departments. State Department has ambassadors. The countries have ambassadors here. They have been dealing with these things. So I think at the high level, don't you think the president should come and meet with the president here?
No.
Okay.
No. If you're asking, you're looking for his no. And this is why, let me tell you.
Yes.
There are more than 15 U.S. departments that deal with Africa. More than 15. It's very confusing. It's very conflicting. Everybody, they're all trying to figure out, okay, who is gonna carry the water, who is gonna do anything, who is gonna do anything. So even them don't even understand what their program and agenda is for Africa, because there are many of them. You have USAID, you have you have State Department, you have Power Africa Initiative, you Power Prosper Africa, all of those people, oftentimes there are 5 or 6 people in that department, and they're sitting there crunching out numbers and good graphs and pushing it forward, and Africa is jumping up and down. I'm just saying, what do you want out of anything? Do you want a relationship that works? What is the relationship for? Is it for you to build your roads? Is it for you to have your, buffer your military? Is it for you to stabilize your currency? Is it for you to have a trade that benefits you? Well, I mean, you can't just be wanting relationship for the wanting relationship's sake. What are you wanting it for? Are you better off with your neighbor, or are you better off with somebody across your neighborhood? Africans are always feeling they are better off with somebody across their neighborhood instead of their neighbor. Okay? Love, I don't know whether you got my phrase. Love is proximity. Okay? The nearer, the better. Okay? Cultivate one around you. Make your home good so other people will want to come and visit you. Okay? And my home in Dallas, when people come and say it's a museum, because I took my time to make it what it is. And so when they come, they like it. It's not that I don't go in other places. I'm just giving you an example. You have to make the effort. You have to be focused and determined and disciplined to say, hey, my country, for whatever reason, whether we are 5 million people there, we are 5 million people, and I am the president. I want these people to believe in me, and I'm only going to do those things that are necessary to uplift the condition of these people. The other things about, summits and stuff, they're all fine. You got to show up. But sometimes, you know what? Scarcity in economics. Scarcity does what? Increases demand. No. If you refuse to go, you're going to be the one that they'll be calling. Hey, why didn't you show up? Just like the man in the Bible who has 99 sheep and one is lost. He secured the 9, he's looking for the 1. Okay? Make yourself scarce. So that way you'll be the commodity that people want, but don't show up for the showing up sake. It does not give you anything except you are lumped together. Just distinguish yourself. You're not being arrogant. You just be more focused and you're being more determined. What is the first priority of you as president of your country? To your country, not to the world. Not to the world.
Yeah, but so again, by the way, you know that Prosper Africa it cuts across all the agencies. It's trying to cut those
Let me
bottlenecks.
tell you, remember I served on the EXIM advisory committee. I mean, we go to meetings there, you challenge, what are you dealing with? There are bureaucrats who see their retirement on this Africa program, okay? And, it is not in their best interest to get rid of it. Okay, so they're going to have meetings. They're going to go to Africa. They're going to send their people, and they're going to show picture. I'm sorry, prosper Africa. So how prosperous is Africa? Is it not the word? How prosperous is Africa?
That's a new program. That program just started.
Huh?
Prosper Africa just started.
Okay, yeah, but no, it's been there for for a number of years. But I'm just saying, why do you have to have prosper African, power this, power that? I'm just saying, consolidate that into one. If you want to set up a separate department, or you can have a separate division in the State Department, because the State Department is the foreign arm of the U.S. government. Consolidate all of these departments, get rid of USAID, get rid of parts, put this in one department. So it is a one-stop, okay? So we want you guys to really, focus on Africa. But not to where you go in there, you got to see this other person, you got to see this other person, you got to see other person. Look, government bureaucracy is you know how Washington works. Everybody wants to corner and save their own turf because, hey, you got to come to me. No. Consolidate all of this. There are 16 or so the various U.S. Government agencies that are dealing on issues with Africa. We don't need that many of them. Consolidate them. You could call it, the Africa Development, whatever, in the State Department, and make that a cabinet level person or deputy. Boom, that's it. If anybody from Africa wants something, that's where they go. Okay. If that department approves them, they can refer them to maybe Export Bank for additional staying or the World Bank, but not to where you go into USAID, you go into this, you go into that, you go into that, and then sometimes you look at their policies, it's very conflicted. Even them don't understand it. Even them don't understand it. So, but what are you looking for? Power generation? We have Africans that have PhD, engineering, in any subject matter that these people are trying to come and teach you or coach you on. What are you looking for?
No, I don't think it's just knowledge. I think most of it is finance.
No, we create your own finance. So, okay, you know what? Okay, if you talked about globalization, why don't we do this? Why don't we just collapse every currencies and we come up with one world currency? Okay? Collapse it. So we don't have exchange rate anymore. If you take one currency from anywhere, since some people are pushing this global citizenship something, let's collapse all the currencies and it's one. You know what? You know why they will not do it?
No.
If they do it, the Western economy will collapse. Because nobody will not have reason to leave their country. It's all about money. So what you want to do is make your own local currency begin to improve against the other foreign currency. Because if you say nobody, if $1 is $1 in Cameroon and $1 in dollar, would you have left? Would I have left? You will go on vacation. But it's not the way you're now taking your skill set because, hey, you got to go survive. And the skill set is what is running the economies. It's not money. If I go to my village and give everybody $1 million, do you think it's going to transform? They go to Dubai for shopping. Or they go take more chieftaincy title. So it's not money, it's skill. And the skill has to be indigenous, the skill has to be localized, and the skill has to be relevant for the benefit of the people. But if you just everybody move around, you can never. Like I said, give every Nigerian in Nigeria $1 million. And their PhD, so that way they can call themselves doctor somebody in addition to the local thing they put in there, and go away for 10 years, come back. That place will not develop because we are money driven and we are money focused. Remember, even when America did a lot of the things they did, money wasn't even the big deal. Okay, they make sacrifice. They built roads. Look at 1950 something when the interstate thing was done. How much money did it take? Look at Hoover Dam. How much money did it take to build it? But now they are just chasing around, running around. Oh, give me money, give me. Okay, and everybody's giving you. And then you have to devalue your currency in order to pay them, because that money is not free. You got to pay. So some money you don't even want. Again, it's a sacrifice. Are we willing, or Africans willing? I'm an American by choice. But the reason I speak about this is because I have had the benefit of being 20-something years old on the other side and see what happened. And I'm on this side and I'm comparing and contrasting. And I was like, you know what? If I was a 5-year-old, Nigerian who left, I probably have no perspective on the country. But I left after college. And not only that, my father was politically involved, and I went to school. I've been physically all over Nigeria. So I can see in my 30-something years I left, I'll go back and I'm trying to see what is different. What is positively different from all this globalization and all this knowledge flowing? Because now, you can download anything anywhere in the world. Is it not?
Pretty much.
No, you can download. People can see us instantly, people in my village or your village watching us now. Hey, 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't possible. But so technology has narrowed, the distance factor, but you still have to have a place. Technology, there's no technology that if you haven't paved your road, you wake up one day and the technology has by robotic means built you your road. There's no technology is going to bring you water into your home except there is a pipeline and a well and a system. There's no technology that will bring you electricity except there's a wire to it. So, all these other things, because we still have to address the core issues that make countries survive and make the foundation of a country very strong. That is what? Hard infrastructure, roads, water, buildings, housing for everything, industrial, residential, non-residential, commercial, everything. It's housing. So how are you housing your industry? How are you housing your agriculture? Do we have to be all over the world to learn that?
I mean, we don't have to be, but I mean, if the opportunity presents itself, like the forthcoming summit in Washington, D.C., I guess there are different companies, different institutions that are going to be pitching, what
again, I've been to those things. Remember, I'm not your whatever. I go and I sit and I watch. I'm not going there to network. I'm just going there to see, okay, how many people are sleeping while this is going on because they're going to have to go home. They just probably flew in the night before, 20-something hours of flying. They rush to their hotel and put up a jacket, and next thing they sit in the country, they're doing this. Okay? And somebody's talking. And then they go to lunch. And they give them some nice package of glossily produced magazine and say, Africa is rising. I have been hearing Africa is rising since I was born. Where is it? Where has it risen to?
Yeah, but you can't fault the people who are sending the invitation. You should fault the people who...
No. I'm just saying, say no, scarcity. I'm not coming, sir. Do you know if somebody invites you to their wedding and you say you're not coming, they'll say, what's going on, man? I thought we were friends. As opposed to, even if you hear the invitation, you hear the wedding, you are not invited, you show up. Because it's a community stuff. Make yourself scarce. Okay? In economics, the more scarce something is that the more the demand is for it?
Yeah, let's talk about something. I mean, I'm not sure you will have the details, but this is something maybe you have an experience with. I've been wondering who pays the flights of these presidents who are coming in. Do they pay themselves, or the U.S. government is?
No, they don't pay for it. The president has a budget. They call the travel office, so you can actually go in and Google what the president has spent. When that Air Force One takes off, there's a cost to the American taxpayers. So the president cannot just be hopping around in the Air Force One because you have a travel budget. So if you deplete it, you're not going to go anywhere. But the Africans, they don't care. They don't care. They just go. And when they go, they're not coming with themselves. There's an entourage. And some people are coming to shop. They're not even coming for, the talk factor. There's like, hey, where's Nima Marcus? Where's Sack and Save? Where is Louis Vuitton? Their wives, sometimes they travel with their wives. And their wife is all about. And then you have people from those countries who want to go meet the girl, and the guy says, look at me. I'm first lady. Look at what the watch I'm wearing. We are show people. Most Africans want to have this appearance of things are doing well. When in the core, things are not going well. Just like when you go to black churches on Sunday, you know, you want to see the good-looking black people, go to church on Sunday. Then on Monday, go to the neighborhood. Monday to Friday, go to the neighborhood. So we are appearance people. That's why, you know, when we dress, we are very flamboyant. Okay? You see all that 2-story head tie or 3-story head tie they wear, and then the colors, the shoe has to match, the purse has to match. Well, rich people are not flamboyant. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Very wealthy people, they are the most simple people. It's the people that are poor that want to be seen. Okay, I'm gonna boom, boom. You know, they wear color yellow to yellow, green to green. You know, everything to match. So I'm sorry, but it's a fact. Yeah.
So I mean, again, it's.
The conversation is that summits are fine, okay, but you have to understand and then evaluate what are the benefits to me, my country, to the country. You know, sometimes, okay, can you send your minister for commerce? Can you send your minister for foreign affairs? And so that the president can sit at home and let these people know, you know what, I am really here to serve you, and I'm doing it as a sacrifice, but not so that every opportunity, you know how many invitations you're gonna get? There are tons of them. Tons. Mayors of cities are inviting African presidents and they're showing up. Can you imagine that? The president of Ghana went to see the mayor of Houston.
Maybe they were classmates.
No. Then don't you go see him at home. Don't go see him in his office. Go to the mayor's home and tell no camera to watch you. But don't go to city of Houston or Dallas and put your national flag into the city flag. Is a devaluation. You are dignifying your country. Don't do it. Okay? Don't do it. Tell them, hey man, classmate, how was it? And I'll come see you in a home. You know, you go home to his home or her home and you have a drink. But don't you take your country flag and go put it next to the flag of a city in America. I don't care whether that is the mayor of New York or San Francisco or Dallas. Don't do that as a president of a country.
Well, the new Africa U.S. Sub-Saharan Africa strategy talks about the fact that the U.S. wants to treat Africa as equal partners. Partners.
Yeah, there's a difference in that word, want to or will. Okay, they want to. That is, you know, I want to see you is futuristic. I'm working my way towards it, or I will. Okay.
Well, again, I think maybe I'm quoting that wrongly, but I think that the whole thing behind it is they have been paternalistic towards Africa.
Are we new? Have you read the book Squadron Africa? I think I gave you that topic. Have you read it?
No.
U.S. Squadron Africa. You know, the history of slavery about in the 18 something. I mean, Africa is not new to U.S. The first country to recognize America as a nation?
No.
Okay. Morocco. Not even a Christian country, Muslim country. Morocco was the first country. So that means Morocco has been a country before America in 1776. So the first and the oldest American embassy in the world, or the first embassy America ever built, wasn't even in Europe. Where did they build it? Tangier, Morocco. Okay, but if not for Morocco, support of America, America would never have had access on the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, it was the American forces that helped the American Navy people to get access on that. Okay, they call it the Barbara something. It's all of that. It's all that. But Africans don't even know that. Okay, so America has recognized Africa. The first American president to go to Africa, it wasn't Jimmy Carter, it was FDR that met, you know, Ethiopian Haile Selassie and the Egyptian guy, and then the King Saud of Suez Canal in 1945. Okay, I have the book. So I don't read novels. I read facts. I read history.
Nothing wrong with reading novels, but
no. Yeah. That's why most Africans, they're looking for Meals and Boo, feel-good book. I don't read feel-good.
I don't even remember Meals and Boo.
Yeah, you remember that book when they write you in high school? Are you doing well in the ocean of good health? We just flower in the way we write, you know. So what I'm just saying, these books are there. So Jimmy Carter wasn't the first American president to go to the soil that in a place called Africa. It was FDR, 1845. No, 1945. You know, so the history is there. But the thing is, are we looking at history to inspire us and motivate us? Are we looking at history to depress us and frighten us? I think oftentimes that's what we're doing. We're looking at slavery, we're looking at colonization. But remember, slavery has not been the life of Black people forever. It was a period, but we have gotten stuck on that period as if that has been our life before. Okay, so we take this history. I mean, there are some of us African Christians that are still crying Jesus was crucified. You were not there. You were not there. Life has moved on. Okay, so take this history to embolden you and strengthen you. Like, okay, they did it. They're not going to do it now, but now you are willingly going with your own money and being subjected to what their own program is, and you are being subdued. You got to pull back sometimes. I mean, you marry a girl the first time, it didn't work out, you divorce, you go back and marry her again. She's doing to you the same thing, and you say, honey, I love you, honey. Come on, take your love somewhere else. Take your love somewhere else. And don't constantly make the same person who has left you behind or intentionally devalued you and to say, hey, you please help me rise. No. The way I told you this many, many times, the way you make your ex jealous is to go find you a better partner that is younger, more vibrant, and more better looking. So that when they see you, they get jealous. If people are not jealous of what you're doing, you are not living. You got to make somebody jealous and envious if possible.
But I think that's what is happening precisely because the Africans went and looked for the Chinese, and then Americans have.
Well, what are you looking for the Chinese? The Chinese, the people who don't even believe in Jesus, are the people you go in for money. What are the Chinese giving you?
A lot of money.
I'm just saying, look for that. Look for the. In fact, you know what? Let another African country lend another African country money. When you borrow money, there's a principal and an interest. Forget whether they call it concessional loan or poor people's loan. It's not free. So that's why we say we need regional successful African countries that can lend money to another African country. Okay, so that when you owe, that money is in incontinent, not is fleeing the continent, and you pay somebody who is sitting in some comfortable office and pushing a computer and making a chart and say, "Where's my money? If you don't do it, I'm going to lower your credit rating and make you sweat." And all of you are you strangulating, putting your country in an austerity measure in order to pay somebody who is sitting somewhere creating paper money for you. Say no. Lend to another Africa. Lend to yourself. Hey, in America, how much debt do we have? How much debt? We are the biggest debtor country in the world.
It's, I think it says 31 trillion or
whatever the number is, we are the biggest. But guess what? It has not stopped people from coming. And when you come here, you find out that the trees are not producing, what is it called? Dollars. Just like I see Africans jumping up and down, green card holder, and then I'm going to become a citizen. I said, those things don't come with check. Okay? When you become a citizen, there's not a check that comes with it. They say, hey, welcome to America. Boom, now you're going to be responsible for that citizenship. You're gonna work hard to sustain it. So debt is good, but debt has to be relevant for a people. So America debt is relevant for the country because we're recycling the debt. If we, look at you, for instance, or an individual. If you have cash, if you don't have any debt, you don't wake up every day. You're lazy and you get fat. Okay, but when you owe, you wake up and you go to work. And if they give you time to keep paying it, it gives you comfort. So Africans think debt is bad. The debt is bad for Africa because they haven't known how to manage it. They take it for their pockets. They take it to build their mansions. They take it to buy cars that depreciate and waste, after they die. I went to Ghana, I went to Nkrumah Center, and the car that he was, when they put it, there was dust all over the place. Dust. I went to his library. The book is like, like a war just went through or some tornado just went. I mean, come on. You can even maintain something that could become a magnet for tourists. But you're buying these cars, Rolls Royces, Bentley. You know how many of them are sitting in some rotten garages in Africa? Yeah, because it's cash for them. It's not, oh, let's borrow money to build the road, but let's borrow it from ourselves. Huh? Let's borrow
that sounds to me like a pie. Do you know of any African country that can lend money to another African country? I don't know.
You can make it work. You can make it work. You become an alternative. It's like, hey, you better, I mean, it's not about borrowing the money, it's about the terms and the conditions. You know, there are many African countries that has exchange rates better than Japan. You know, there are 4 currencies you borrow in the IMF: euro, dollar, pound, and yen. Those are the 4. That's why they saw the SDR, the special drawing right. And each time you borrow from those 4 currencies, before you even get your check, 4% is paid for whatever it is. Okay, so if you're getting $1 billion, 4% of $1 billion is what? For $40 million. That one is, so you going home with 960, but you're on the book for 1 billion. Okay, so let's get that math right. Okay, but here's something that will be of interest to you. 1 million yen. If you want to exchange 1 million yen to the dollar, you get about $11,000. Okay. If you want to exchange 1 million cedis, you get about $95,000. Okay. If you want to go to Zambia, they have better exchange rate. If you want to go to Morocco, they have better exchange rate. Why are we not borrowing from those countries? When I went to Ghana last year, I wrote a little piece. I said, if Ghana were to know where they stand, they can lend money to the African countries because they have a favorable exchange rate. Okay? But they don't look at that. They're all over the place looking. Your exchange rate is, that is the purchasing parity. Okay, PPA, that doesn't matter. But you know the difference with the Japanese money? The Japanese don't borrow from anybody. They use it to do what? Build their country. That's why sometimes they even say 0 interest rate or negative interest. So all you got, the important thing is these Africans are focusing on exchange rate, begin to say, you know what? I'm going to print the money and I'm going to use it to build my country. Because you now have enough engineers in most African countries and most doctors. If they can use that currency to survive and live, who cares what the exchange rate is doing? But do we look at that example? No, go look at it. The yen, most African countries have better exchange rate than the yen. But Japan don't care. But we're still driving their Toyota. We're still buying their technology, and it's being produced with the yen.
Right. So I think it's the problem I have as always with these is they're nice ideas, but I think the excuse, the word that you don't like, is that it is a difficult thing to be able to break out from the mold. Because I don't know. Again,
I agree with you. But you can do that with animal. If you get a monkey and cage a monkey for a long time, caged. There are psychologists who have proven this. Okay, you cage it for a long time, and you opened the gate. Say, go. It doesn't go. It's only a lion that will jump out of that cage. Okay, so what the I'm not calling Africans monkey or anything. What the Africans have imbibed and welcome is this fear factor. Oh, I can do it. Okay, I'm comfortable here. Remember, they did this to us. They will do it again to me. Which goes to what Igbos say. When a child has been burnt, if they see ash, ash, a byproduct of fire, they run. But the white people are not like that. I mean, look, white people pay attention to history, but they don't get caught up. Oh, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, Kennedy was assassinated, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. They're moving on. But it's the African now, he said, oh, Patrice Lumumba was assassinated. Murtala Muhammad was assassinated. What is his name? Thomas, the guy. And they start crying about people who have moved on. Maybe God wanted them to be killed. Okay? Maybe God wants them to be killed. Why are you still thinking about them in the way you are thinking about them? do something to honor whatever they were trying to do, and they got assassinated. But we're not doing it. We instead got caught up on the pain of the past. I have still told you, Lambert, if somebody slapped my father, again, I knew my father, I'm not even talking about my grandfather. If somebody slapped him and beat him up, and he didn't defend himself, and the same person who did it say, hey, I slapped your father, I'm going to slap you, Lambert, I welcome that individual. I am going to smash their face because you did it to my father. You think you're going to do it to me? Come on. Come on. Instead, we get caught up. Oh, yeah, he did it to me. And then before they even slap us, we're on the floor. Say, please, please don't slap. Come on. What is the school? Name a university in the world an African has not graduated from. There was one Cameroonian guy, he got his PhD from UTD, University of Texas, Dallas here, political science. He teaches at the university now in Connecticut. So when on his graduation, I went and they had some of his classmates. His name is Tiki. I said, Tiki. He said, all these people now you graduated with, they're probably going to get a job at the World Bank or State Department, and you got a better grade graduating with them. And they're going to go to Cameroon to tell your people what to do based on what you know better than they do. I said it at his graduation, and everybody was like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? And that's a fact. They go get a job at the UN or World Bank or IMF, and then if somebody shows up in Cameroon, Yaoundé with World Bank associate director, the minister for finance in Cameroon is rushing over to come and say, hey, I'm taking you straight to the president. Come on, World Bank. I told you one time I was in Brazzaville, and some people are coming from the whole country froze. Oh, we have a World Bank audit. Yeah, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, what is this all about? But it's all over Africa. And who are the people at the World Bank? Maybe they have an MBA or PhD, in some kind of subject that doesn't really make sense. But they are the ones, they now call them country directors, and they go to Africa, like the guy who's the country director for Ghana. He comes from Seychelles, okay?
Yeah.
And I looked up his background. The Ghana currency is stronger than the Seychelles. But he's the country director for Ghana, Liberia, whatever other countries that are around it. That means you have your central bank governor, you have your finance minister, and then this guy who is World Bank country director is telling you guys what to do. I wish I was the Ghana president. I'll bundle him out of that country. I said, get out. I said, there's nothing that my people don't know. No. That's how you get attention. I said, get out. If we need the World Bank, we have a specific relationship with them, but you're not going to come here, have an official residence, and we open our books to you so that you can do what? Session, look, I said this, and I said it to you privately. I say it to you now. If a man comes to my house and takes my wife from me, you know who I'm going to blame?
No.
Me. For creating a condition that even encouraged that man to think of coming into my house. Now, if my wife wants to go with the person, move on. But if it's just like because you have money, you have power, you're going to come do it, I will destroy you. That's how you have to look at your country. Nobody should come over there and dictate to you what to do because you know it better than them. You can say, this is what I would need. And if they start giving you prescription or solutions and it doesn't rhyme with what you want, tell them, sir, thank you for your time. Get out. We can't continue to be submit to be subdued. We can't. It does not augur well for the Black race. You see the African Americans in America, they're still whining and complaining about racism. And then the people in the Caribbean are still doing the subject of the Queen and the King. And then the Africans are still running after their colonial masters. Come on, did God make a mistake for creating Black people? I think God has turned his ears away from us. It's like, man, these people are always crying and begging me. I ain't doing it. Do something for yourself. Honor your humanity. Stand up firm. negotiate deals that benefit you and whomever else you're dealing with. If they don't do that, tell them, hey, keep it. Keep it and watch me do it. I like the Singapore story. Lee Kuan Yew years. And then the second book, From 30 to First, he defied the so-called economists of Adam Smith and whomever, and he did it their way. And look at Singapore today. It might be a city-state, a tiny country, but guess what? It's a model. When there was a ministerial meeting in Accra back in the 60s after they got independence, and he saw African ministers, especially Nigerian finance minister, Kuti Okotebo at the time, squandering money, flying. Back then it was first class, not even business class. Now they call it business class. Flying first class. Lee Kuan Yew and his team came in a coach. Back then it was called coach. Now they call it economy. Okay? And they were in Accra. This Nigerian finance minister, the first finance minister, was buying everybody a drink, squandering money. Lee called his people and said, this is how not to be a government official. He called his people and gave an example with Nigeria. This is how not to be. What do African government officials do? Spend money, the people's money, or money they have gotten under the table. And we keep honoring them. We keep encouraging them to go all over the world. And at the end of the day, like we say in Texas, they ain't bringing home the bacon. Instead, they are buying houses over there and begging to have admission for their kids to go to school. How many of these kids are going to school in their national universities? How many? You hear the sons, the daughters, they're in France, they're in Germany going to school. And they're starving the national universities because if their kids are out of that mess, they're not going to be concerned about the condition going on with the university. Yeah. And then we think it's okay. It's not okay. I'm not blaming the white people. I don't blame them. Maybe they have an advantage. Maybe this will continue to have an advantage. But you know what? The emperor is as good as, or last as good as those in the empire still say your majesty and still honor that person. If they say, no, we're not going to do it, guess what? The emperor too, he's afraid. He will say, okay, what do you guys want? The Africans have refused to say, we're not going to be doing this anymore. It hasn't worked for us. Africa is not a new invention. It's the oldest continent in the world. And you still, everybody calls it, what did they say, the last frontier? Or the first frontier, whatever they describe us, and we always like, oh yeah, they say the rising and middle class in Africa. Okay, you are Cameroonian. How many people in Cameroon earn $40,000 a year? Or in Nigeria? Less than 1%. And they say rising because they sell them more Mercedes-Benz than they sell them in Germany. Africans drive more European cars than the Europeans themselves. And they use those numbers to say rising middle class. Really? Why are we so persuaded by statistics for what it shows, but we are not concerned for what it does not reveal? You want me to say that again? We are so impressed with statistics for what it's telling us, but we really don't care about what it does not reveal. The other underlying numbers, that is the reality. They come up and, throw out this thing, Africa is doing well, and Wall Street Journal writes it, Washington Post writes it, Foreign Affairs magazine writes it. But I'm saying when I go home and I land at Murtala Muhammad, I don't call it home anymore. When I visit Nigeria and land at Murtala Muhammad Airport, is it not the same airport that Obasanjo flies out of? Is it not the same airport that the richest black man in the world, Dangote, flies out of? Is there another airport? The same airport. The same road they're going to follow to go to their home. Maybe a helicopter come to airlift them. So what is this? They don't when they fly. They don't drive their private car. Don't drive to the airplane and they give them a stairs to climb in the airplane. They still go through that stinky hot skywalk to get into the airplane. And you don't see this, and you're not engaging the minister, the aviation department. Say, what is this all about? Because we're very comfortable. We say, oh, that's fine. It doesn't matter. I have a private jet. Oh, my home is good. I have water. I have a water well. And no, I'm just saying, cut it out. Cut it out. Make your home good so that your guests will want to come visit you. They think our homes are not fine. The African homes are not fine. That's why they always invite you to DC, to Paris, to London, to Beijing, to Berlin. And we are always happy to go. It takes a lot to get me out of my home because I have made it comfortable. In fact, some people say, oh, let's go let's go to a restaurant. I say, no, I have wine at home. Come on. So we can have better conversation. Because my home, it's not the best, but I created comfort for me. And people love to come and visit you. People will come visit you if you make this. So go to summits that make sense. But please, if you go and go and go, and you go back and look at, okay, what am I getting out of this? Not you as a president, but what's my country getting out of this? No, we're not going to do. Throw a survey. Is it not surveys we do this? Ask a national survey. Hey, guys, I've been invited to Moscow or Washington. Should I go? And then when that result comes back, send it to Washington. Say, my people say I shouldn't go. If they go, they'll overthrow you. Do you know when Gowon was overthrown in Nigeria? Gowon was overthrown when he was in Addis Ababa for OAU summit. And then back then, African heads of state say, oh, we're not going anywhere, because that's when the people will sneak into the presidential palace and make an announcement, we're overthrowing government. But now they go. They vacate their seat for days. I'm not saying somebody should go and overthrow them, but when you leave, who knows what's going to happen? Stay at home, talk with your people, engage them, ask them for opinion. Don't even speak to them. Just say, tell me yell at me, please. You're supposed to serve, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, yell at me. What am I doing right? No, in fact, start with what am I doing wrong? Okay? Start with what am I doing wrong? Because if you're doing something good, the people will feel it. What am I doing wrong, my people? And listen, record it. Go back to your presidential palace and play it over and over and over. And don't come there and say, oh, you went to, there was a Nigerian governor that took a picture with Obama. When I went back to, when I visited Nigeria, this guy put a huge billboard because he met Obama. I said, the Obama that I had dinner with, But this guy put a whole, in fact, he bought he bought a page in Nigerian National to say he had a picture with Obama. It's not even an autograph picture. It's just a picture. Mentality.
Yeah. Now again, Sir Okpa, thanks. I think we can. I mean, the main thing for today was should African presidents travel abroad for summits on Africa? And your answer is a definitive no, and also that it depends. Don't just go. Make yourself scarce, but also look at the benefit for your people. Look at the benefits for your country, and don't just keep repeating it for the sake of it. I think, in a nutshell, that was it. I believe I'm a globalist, and I also believe in the fact that these meetings, even if the things do not come out in good time, they may take time for the things to. It's just that most of these African leaders, they are not strategic. They don't really take advantage of the time they spend with others, and even more so, taking advantage, because the point you made was quite great. They were here in September. They should have just had this meeting when they were here in New York. They should have had this meeting after, on the sidelines or something. But I think the US really wanted to concentrate on, having something specific for Africa, undiluted. But we'll see. We're going to continue looking at it. I think I have to look up what the outcome was of the 2014 meeting that Obama had with the African heads of state. I don't remember what came of that, but I know that one program that he launched, Young African Leaders Initiative, has been very successful. But again,
well, look, I went to Obasanjo. I said, Obasanjo, do a fellow African leadership. We don't need Obama leadership or anything. Obama didn't do anything for the Black folks. He didn't do anything for Kenya. All that leveling. What is leadership? I graduated from Dallas Leadership, program 2 years ago. What all these, you Obama leadership, this Obama leader. No, leadership is not that very complicated something, but that's fine because he's the leader and people want to have their name attached to a paper that has his name. That's good. You summarize what this conversation is all about, and if it's possible on your website, do a survey, just a simple survey. Should African leaders go to them? Yes or no? And then see how many people are going to respond. And then that could be, it could be 100 people, and they, you see what they check. Hey, look at, 85% say they should go, 85% say they shouldn't go. Hey, that's how we do the polls in America. Okay, so what I'm saying is that yes, we cannot be independent. The world is connected, but it cannot be a connection that also devalues you or undermines you. You have to prove that, just like in a relationship, husband and wife. I always give that example. You yield sometimes, but it cannot be to where the spouse is dominating the other spouse and making it is all about them. The West is making it it's all about them. In this, when they're dealing with Africa. Africa's solution can be sourced and can be dealt with Africans, because we now have well-educated people that have gone everywhere in the world, that have interacted with every race. So we have been able to do the new and improved, the compare and the contrast, and then we should be able to filter, because not everything is going to be good for us. We filter the ones that are good and we use it. Why can't Africa be solving problems in South America? Solving, look, Alaska is cold. You want to live there even if they give you $1 million?
No.
It's a tropical country. We got it's warm over there, tropical continent. But you fly into Moscow, you say, oh, because bread price is gonna, because Ukraine's wheat is no longer coming. 90% of people in my village don't eat bread and they're healthy. So why are we being tied to things that has nothing to do with anything? Okay, you're a global citizen, you're a globalist. Please let me know when you travel the world with a global passport, because I want to get one for me. Countries still have passports, and those passports get you entry. And when you show up at the airport, if the passport of the country you are coming from doesn't have any value, guess what happens to you? So, you can, just like I told Obasanjo when he said, oh, I'm a global citizen, I said, sir, that's a feel-good statement. You are a Nigerian president. You cannot migrate to global anything. You may have traveled all over, but you don't have a passport that gives you global citizenship. Okay? The world has existed. We are now almost 200 countries. Who knows how many more countries are going to want to divide up? But the point is, countries have identity. And that identity is what you have to promote. That's your brand. Okay? You have Mercedes, you have Toyota, you have all these other cars. Where's your own? You can still get to the same destination that the other ones got to, but you want to get there in style. You're going to get there the way you want. So I'm saying the Africa thing is not new. The Africa problems are there forever, just like America problem. You're in DC. Don't you see homelessness everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you see people that even in America with Harvard University being 1636 when it started, there are still 9% or so Americans that have 4-year college education. So there's still many white people that haven't graduated anybody in their school. So it's not like America is without its own social challenges, but we still got to go to the world and say, we're going to solve your problem. I was in Enugu one time, in the city I was born in, and some white people were talking to African women, and everybody said, my stepmom was there, my dad had passed away, and then everybody said like Jesus was giving them a blessing. So when they finished, I asked the white man, I said, what part of America are you from? I said, no, well, what is your city? What's your zip code? I said, what have you done in those zip codes to come here and to lecture Africans? The man, everybody in the audience, they felt, but I started asking him the question. The people rose up. I said, what, sir, tell these people what you have done, because you have a title of having worked at the World Bank, UN, you're going to come here and do what? I said, no. I turned to my people, I said, this guy in America has no standing. But here, he's looking at, talking at you people, not even talking with you people. Talking at you, because he knows that you are ignorant. And you don't know how to ask the proper question. I can ask any American proper question, and I get what I want out of it. That's what we need to be doing. If somebody's going to show up to solve your problem, tell them What have they solved? When I was going through my first divorce there, I said I need to go see a counsel. I said, look, she and I have made up our mind. We're not going anywhere with this relationship. But the guy came up. He was a white man. I said, sir, have you been married before? He said, yes. I said, I don't want to talk to anybody who has a divorce. I want somebody who has been in a marriage for a long time. Because if you have the divorce, let me go through my own divorce. so I can get the experience you have. So since you have been, this is on your third or second missionary journey, allow me to go to my So you can't come to counsel me when you haven't done it. Okay? But that's what Africans do. You come here, we have homeless issues, we have unemployment, we have all kinds of challenges, but you're going to come and listen? To who? To what? And you go home and your people are dancing at the airport, your ministers are lined up, you're coming back. Please don't do that.
So thank you very much, Sir Okpa. Again, exciting. And again, we are going to distribute this as always. We are here every Wednesday, same time, 6 p.m. when they are available. I think we are going to be focusing again on some of these issues, trying to pay attention to what the African presidents should be doing when they come to DC, since they will not listen to your advice not to show up, or need to focus on how to get.
I mean, look, if one of them can say, you know what, I'm not going to do it, I have succeeded. But I'm not even looking for that, because you know what, I'm an American by choice. I'm just saying, stop making your country look like you're a beggar. Okay? Enhance the image of your country and enhance the prestige of your office. Okay? Stop going to see mayors. Stop going to every little invitation you show. So send your ambassador, send your foreign minister, send your trade minister. Stay at home and talk with your people. If you start doing it well, people are going to come. Why don't we want people to go to Africa? You know what? Tell these people, hey, you know what? It's cheaper for you. One person coming to come talk to us, 54 here, as opposed to 54 of us coming to come talk to one person here. Hey, do that economics. Say, hey, I'm already poor and you want me to come see you? If Jesus wants to come back, let him come, because he can afford to, but I doubt he's going to show up.
So on that note, thank you very much, and you can always send your comments in, and if you want us to address any topic, you can always write to us, lambert.bom@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sir Okpa is very active on LinkedIn. You can look him up on LinkedIn, and it's always sending out little things. So thank you all for watching. Until next week, good evening.
You're the best man in the media. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.